This is a deeply disturbing and morbid Victorian story, one of the darkest ever written. The New Mother, Lucy Clifford, 1882. Once upon a time, there were two little girls who lived with their mother and their baby brother in a house at the edge of a great forest. Their father was at sea and had been absent for a long time. The house was small but neat and warm, and the mother, though often appearing tired, always found time to sing to them, read to them, and teach them all that was good and proper. The elder was called Blue Eyes, for her eyes were clear and bright blue. The younger Turkey, because her cheeks were as red as a Turkish rose, and whatever she did, she always laughed like the sun shining through the branches. Their brother was still an infant in his cradle, and the mother loved him tenderly as she did the girls, and often said, "My children, as long as your hearts are pure and your behavior proper, this house will be filled with peace and light. But if you forget obedience and love, darkness will come, and the doors of our home will no longer open by themselves." And the girls smiled at her and kissed her, for they did not know what kind of darkness could come while their mother was with them. One day, as the sun was already setting behind the treetops, and the air smelled of dampness and pine resin, the two girls walked along a little path that wound toward the heart of the forest. As they went, they heard a strange sound from afar, something between a song and a sob, as if some child were playing a tune never meant for human ears. Soon a peculiar girl appeared before them. She was about their age, but somehow different. Her face was pale as porcelain, her hair black as wet coal, and her eyes shone like water at midnight. She carried a strange object in her hands, like a guitar, but smaller bodied and with a narrow neck. When she played it, the notes seemed to tremble and vanish in the air, as if coming from another world. "What is that?" asked Blue Eyes. "This is my peer drum," said the girl. "It has 3 strings, but only 2 can be tuned. The third never gives the proper note, and that is why its music is not for every ear." Then she leaned toward them and whispered, so softly that it was barely audible, "Inside this peer drum live a tiny man and a tiny woman. They dance when I play, but I never show them to good children, only to those who are truly, truly naughty." The girls stared, wide-eyed. "But we are always good," said Turkey. "Mother would be sad if we were not." The girl smiled, not with a child's smile, but something cold and quiet like a shadow in water. "Then you will never see them," she said. "Never." And turning, she slowly walked into the forest, playing that strange melody, which sounded as if it wept and laughed at the same time. When the girls returned home, the light from the hearth was already flickering across the walls. Their mother greeted them, set dinner before them, and kissed their foreheads. But the words of the strange girl clung to their minds. "I show them only to naughty children." That night, as they lay in bed, each whispered to the other on her pillow, "Do you wonder what the little people look like?" And the other replied, "Yes. But to see them, we would have to be wicked." The next morning, when the sun shone upon the dewy grasses before the house, the sisters awoke with an unusual unease in their hearts. Their mother, as usual, was busy with the cradle and preparing breakfast, while the two girls sat quietly, watching the smoke rise from the hearth. "Blue Eyes," whispered Turkey, "what if today we were a little naughty?" Blue Eyes looked at her cautiously, but with that childish curiosity that arises the first time someone contemplates wrongdoing. "But Mother would be sad," she said. "Yes, but only a little naughty," replied Turkey. "Perhaps then the girl would let us see the little people." That day they broke a cup, quarreled over a doll, and later did not obey when their mother called them inside. As the day passed, they huddled near the hearth, pretending to be repentant, yet secretly feeling a strange, quiet joy, for they believed that perhaps they were naughty enough. But that evening, their mother sat between them, taking each of their hands, and spoke in a gentle, weary voice. "My little girls, I have never before had to repeat words of warning. Your hands are small, and your hearts are pure. Do not allow them to be sullied by false desire. Naughtiness brings not marvels, but loss. Blue Eyes and Turkey bowed their heads, yet their minds could not erase the one phrase, I show them only to naughty children. The following day they again walked along the forest path, and as if waiting for them, the girl with the pure drum stood beneath the old oak. She played softly, a melody that sounded as if speech flowed in the air. When she saw them, her smile barely moved. Well, she asked, have you been naughty? Yes, said Turkey proudly. We broke a cup, quarreled, and did not obey Mother. The girl shook her head. Ah, that is nothing, she said. That is not true naughtiness. You must be far naughtier, much naughtier. Only then will my little people dance. Then she played several notes, and through the air spread something like song and weeping at once. She turned and vanished among the trees, and their eyes lingered long upon the place where she had stood. When they returned home, their mother met them with a worried look. Where have you been? On a walk, said Blue Eyes, trying to conceal her excitement. Their mother was silent for a long moment, then spoke quietly. Children, if you do not learn that obedience is the sign of love, I shall have no choice. I shall take Arthur, and a new mother will come, with eyes of glass and a tail of wood. At these words, the sisters paled. But Mother, Turkey whimpered, you would not do that. I shall, said their mother softly. For little girls who no longer know what is good cannot have the same mother. That night they could not sleep. In the dark, while the wind rustled through the branches, they heard faintly from afar the sound of the pier drum. The notes mingled with the roar of the sea and the silence of the house. Turkey whispered, tomorrow we shall be even naughtier. Over the next few days, the sisters tried to be naughtier, as the girl had advised. They broke dishes, hid their mother's things, and sometimes lied. Yet, the more they tried, the more it seemed they were not naughty enough. Every action, however small, did not satisfy the strange girl's measure. Their mother grew increasingly sad and weary. A quiet sorrow hung over the house like a heavy veil. Blue Eyes Turkey, she said, my children, if you do not mend your ways, I shall have no choice. I must take Arthur and leave, and in your place will come a new mother, with eyes of glass and a tail of wood. The girls felt a shiver in their hearts, yet they did not know what to do to prevent it. Their desire to see the little people in the pier drum was stronger than their fear. Each day they performed greater mischiefs until they no longer knew where play ended and real danger began. And one morning, it all happened. Their mother quietly rose, took Arthur in her arms, and vanished through the door. The girls ran after her, calling, but her figure had already disappeared into the mist that enveloped the house and the forest. Then came a faint, sharp laughter. The girl with the pier drum was passing by the house. You will never be naughty enough, she said. Your mother has gone to the sea with your little brother, and she will never return. The sisters were left alone. Blue Eyes and Turkey did not believe the girl. They cleaned the house, dusted, lit candles, and waited for their mother to return, hoping it was only a sinister jest. But time passed, and their mother did not return. The sound of the wind through the trees and the distant tones of the pier drum were the only sign that someone or something was watching them. Then what they feared most occurred. At the door knocked the new mother. Her eyes were of glass, cold and impenetrable, and her tail of wood struck the threshold, cracking and threatening. The house was finally filled with the fear the girls had long felt but could not name. Turkey peered through the window. Her heart nearly stopped. The glass eyes of the new mother reflected the candlelight, and the tail threatened to break the door. We must flee, whispered Blue Eyes, and together they ran into the forest, into the darkness and the cold, knowing their true mother would never again cross the threshold of the house. Now they lived in the forest, feeding on what they could find, occasionally returning to the house in hope of finding her, but it was now under the control of the new mother. The sisters were now completely alone. The forest had become their home, a quiet, cold labyrinth of trees and mist, where they knew they could survive only on what they could find: berries, roots, and rainwater collected in tree hollows. Yet not a day passed without thoughts of their mother. Every rustle among the branches, every shadow passing by, seemed to be her figure, slowly calling to them, but every hope was fleeting. The house remained there, just beyond the hill, silent and dark, now in the possession of the new mother. One gloomy afternoon, despite their fear, the sisters dared to approach the house. It was closed, yet through one window, hidden behind the curtains, they saw the faint pale gleam of glass eyes. The wooden tail rustled softly, striking the threshold, threatening anyone who came near. The house was alive, but it was no longer theirs. The sisters withdrew into the forest, knowing that every attempt to return was in vain. And as they walked among the trees, the wind carried the faint, eerie tones of the pier drum, a melody that was at once an invitation and a warning. And so Blue Eyes and Turkey continued to live in the forest, quietly, always searching for signs of their true mother, yet all they ever found was the presence of the new mother in the house that now belonged to her. The sound of the pier drum still came through the mist and the wind, reminding them, and anyone who dared to listen, that naughty children and anyone who does not know fear and obedience could lose everything they love. And the house, now under the dominion of the glass-eyed, wooden-tailed mother, stood silent, dark, and unyielding, waiting for new hands to knock upon its doors, perhaps never to be let inside. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. See what the next story brings.